Hi, gay.
Welcome, everyone, to Everyone's a Little Queer Pod. We have a special guest with us today in studio, of course, because it's our house and it's my wonderful husband. He's our
Hi.
specialist guest that we're going to have.
I feel,
Welcome.
I feel special. Thank you.
You are special, and we have Prosecco to cheers to it.
Are you gonna introduce me besides husband, or I'm just husband?
You're just husband. This is Mark.
Hello.
Cheers. Oh, that's good. Shout out to good Prosecco.
Shout out to some good prosecco.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
You're super nervous.
I don't think I'm a little nervous. I don't know why.
I don't know why you're nervous. You've done all the editing for everybody
I
else's,
know.
and now we get to tell your story.
It's different being on the other side.
Yeah.
I think so. It'll
I think that's what other people have said, that it's great listening to it, but then when they were a part of it, they're like, oh, it's very different having to talk about
And
yourself.
I don't know why it shouldn't be.
No, I don't think it should be.
No.
You're an interesting person. You're married to me.
It's my favorite thing about me.
That's your
my
favorite
husband.
thing. Well, welcome. But I know you. And that's what this is about, is other people to get to know you and tell your story, because your story is different than everyone's, to a point of living in the closet for so long and then coming out, and honestly coming out later in life.
Yeah.
That you would agree?
25.
Were you as nervous then coming out? Or are you more nervous now?
Well, the other thing is I never did a big I'm gay moment. The only coming out that I did was to my immediate family.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was absolutely terrifying. But that's also why I didn't come out until, my mid 20s.
Right. But you knew for years you were gay.
Yeah.
What was the first hint for you that you went, pussy and titties, not for me?
Oh, well, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here. No, I definitely, but when you, go down the Calvin Klein aisle,
Yeah.
That was always it sparks curiosity for me, when I was young. I mean, I was probably 10 or 11 when I kind of was well, and then by the time I was 12, I was oh yeah, I'm definitely gay, which was terrifying for me.
But just because of your family dynamic where you lived.
Yes. I mean, I remember, I think I was maybe 14-ish. I was young, and I remember exactly where we were in the crossroads of the little town in Massachusetts where we grew up. And I remember crossroads where we were. I was in the back of the car, and Fox Radio or something was on, and all of a sudden they're up there marriage should only be between a man and a woman. And my dad, I think, was driving at the time, and he's yeah, that's totally right, this is how it's supposed to be. And I remember kind of slouching back in my seat a little bit.
Yeah.
In the car, kind of being oh,
yeah,
yikes.
It's tough.
But really, that interaction and that experience, just that is when I was okay, so this is how it's gonna have to be, right? And so from that point on, young in my early to mid teens, I knew okay, well, I'm just gonna be straight now, even though definitely it was not. And I mean, there were always the rumblings of oh, the gay kid at school. And there was one gay kid at school, and I feel really bad for him. I should have stuck up for him more. And Closeted Mark was just kind of, I didn't pick on him, but I definitely didn't
defend him.
Correct.
Well,
and I do have regrets about that.
Well, I think that though is, we grew up that way, right? We grew up in a way, because there was gay kids where I went to school, and we all knew who they were. Right. I mean, there was only there was only 2 or 3. There were still people who were closeted that we all knew. However.
Yeah, but your school was what, 5 times the size of mine?
Yeah.
We had one black kid and one mixed gay kid.
Yeah. It's just the time.
Which I think also, though, is part of why, for me, it wasn't easy, but it was somewhat easy to, play it off as a straight kid. You throw your backwards hat on and you.
Which you wore for a long time.
Backwards hat, Matt.
Until I told you, this is not working.
Throw in the backwards hat, and you just. I had plenty of girlfriends.
Ah.
Yeah.
You did. You had quite a few.
It's also when I was like, this is not for me, but I just played along.
How, I guess I don't know.
Which I also still feel bad about that. That's not fair to them.
Well, again, it was a different time that we grew up in, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I still feel bad. There's like a couple girls that I was like, damn, I really kind of led them on for a long time. That wasn't really cool. But for me, I was also like,
But you knew at that time it wasn't a thing. Were you just keeping up appearances?
it was purely like to keep up an appearance.
Was it peer pressure growing up that you felt that way then?
There was a little bit of peer pressure, especially seeing how like the one kid was treated. Sometimes you're like, damn, I don't want to be treated like that. But I think the biggest thing for me was still just that pressure of like going home.
Yeah.
And like honestly, like based on some of the conversations that I would hear, and honestly, you know my parents, triple trumpers, people. So I'm glad, they didn't disown me because I was ready for that to happen, which
Yeah.
is also why I didn't come out till later in life.
Till you were established in life and had it set.
I waited until I was established in work. I was certified and I was making a good paycheck so that if I did go home and come out to them and say, hey, I'm gay, and they'd be like, okay, well, bye,
Right.
then so be it. I'd have a flight back to Kansas City and I would,
You'd be okay.
I mean, financially, I'd be okay. Emotionally, I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, that's
It was one of those things for me where I wasn't sure that it would go the way that I had hoped. And so I wanted to make sure that I had all my ducks in a row
right.
so that if it didn't go well, like so many people that it happens to in our community, that I would be ready. And I also at the time had like a pretty solid, like chosen family established too that like I could fall back on. But the hard thing for me too is, so people in Kansas City, like my immediate close friends
Yeah.
knew, but like all my college friends didn't know. So it wasn't like I could have like them to fall back on because I truly
Right.
didn't really come out to them yet.
Well, and it's interesting you say that because you have I think you have almost three sets of families.
Yeah.
Two chosen families, and you have your family. You have your chosen family of your college friends. And you guys are incredibly, incredibly close. And
Well, yeah, that's true. There is one person, a couple people in college that knew. Obviously, my roommate knew because
why would
hey,
your
man,
roommate?
I got needs. You got
you were
needs.
filling or having needs filled.
One of his friends fulfilled a lot of my needs conveniently. But also, like, Zach and I's apartment was always, like, a safe space for us.
Yeah.
So, like, I knew, like, that was never anything to worry about. Vianilla knew it was a safe space in that apartment when I lived with her. Obviously, Maggie knew they were all safe spaces. And we knew that, like, our home was kind of, we
Yeah.
all very much respected that. And, like, it never really left the apartment. But knew. I remember exactly when I came out to
Yeah.
because like somehow it came up. He's like, well, I kind of swing both ways. And I was like, oh, well, I'm gay. And he was like, what?
Straight out there.
I mean, we were on like the inner loop at Andros Isles in Daytona. It
Yeah.
was like some drunk night at the apartment complex after a show or something. And I don't like, specifically remember how it came up. Maybe he'll bring it up one day. But like, it was very kind of just like, cool.
Moving on.
Cool. And that was like, it never really came up again.
Which is how it should be, right?
And it never came up again. Like, it also was kind of like the mutual understanding of like, hey, like, I'm not going to tell anybody. It's not my business to share in terms of him
Yeah.
sharing it. And I was like, yeah, I never told anybody about it. It was just kind of like, hey, cool. And that was that.
Right.
That was it.
I think, well, it's important that we push that kind of statement out there of it's cool. It's just whatever. Just go live your life. I'll live my life. I don't have to. It's nobody else's business.
Well, that's also why I never had like a big, like people post like that big long social media posts where they're like, I'm here and I'm gay and this is me. And like, I never did any of that. I just started posting pictures with my boyfriend at the time, who conveniently is now my husband. I mean, like I never did. I think, the only, I guess, quote unquote, like coming out moments were to my family. One of them was my twin sister, who I did over the phone at my grandfather's funeral.
What a place to choose,
That's,
honey.
I mean, well,
What a place to
there's a
choose.
story. We'll get into that in a second, but like that, and then my older sister, who I came out to in the hotel room of my grandfather's funeral. Grandmother. It was my
Grandmother's
grandmother's funeral. And then besides that, it was just like my immediate like shenanigans close friend group,
Right.
because, and it also like before that it was my best friend. I don't really remember
So,
how I came.
I mean,
out to
obviously,
Jared.
your parents, when you came out to them, it was incredible. I mean, there was a workup to
Oh.
it. It was stressful. It
Lord
was
have mercy.
emotional. And
I had a free flight there and a free flight home. So if
Right.
I knew it didn't go well, I'd have a flight back to Kansas City.
did you feel though after you told them? I mean, it's stressful telling anybody who in the back of your head after years of being a child, hearing the things that you hear, thinking the way that you do, and trying to hide yourself from them. Were you just like, I can just continue just being me now?
I don't think I've ever felt more of a weight lifted off my shoulders before in my entire life. Well, actually, that's not true. It's happened to me twice. Once was the plane crash when I realized that my
Yeah.
best friend wasn't dead, but I also lost a close friend.
Right.
And then the second time was that when I came out. And I came out at my parents' house outside of Charleston, and it was at the fire pit in the backyard. The pool wasn't there yet, I don't
Yeah.
think. And we're sitting out there, and I was like shaking, full on shaking. And then I remember I was like rocking back and forth in my chair. I was like, I need to tell you something, Mom. And she's like, oh, okay. I was like, no, like I really need it. I need to tell you something. And I was like, started crying, and I was like, I'm gay. And she was like, oh my God, it's okay. And she ran inside and grabbed champagne. And I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, this is not what I was
Not the-
expecting. But then it was also kind of like she came back
But it's also your
outside.
mom.
Right. And I think she but she ran outside and came out, and she's like, okay. And then I think we both kind of sat there for a second, and I looked at the door, and she was like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Because I think we both like, oh, there's
Like she
somebody
knew
else here.
50% of the tell was done, but there was another half.
Yeah.
And
And he came out because my mom was like, hey, Mark wants to talk to you. And she facilitated it because at this point I was like, still kind of.
were you kind of locking up a little bit?
Yeah, I was unwell. I was like physically,
Yeah.
I felt like sick, because it all comes back to literally, that one
cover,
day in the
yeah.
car when you're like, oh fuck. And he came out, and I remember I was like crying, and I finally I just kind of like had to rip the Band-Aid off, because he also could tell like something's up here.
Right.
And I told him, and he was sitting across the fire pit in like Adirondack chairs.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom was like, well, get up and go give him a hug. He's crying.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like, my dad was just kind of like, okay.
Well, I mean,
And it wasn't like he didn't accept it by any means. I think he was also processing.
your dad takes a while sometimes to just think something through, though.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it was also, it did hurt a little bit when you have to have your mom tell your own father to get up and go, like, console your child.
Right.
But I mean, after that, then it was like 2 weeks later, we were going to New York City for something, and my sisters were there, and I was like, because my mom kept asking, like, well, who else knows? And I was like, well,
And your mom does not like to keep secrets.
correct. And so she started having the guilt of like, okay, well, like, I know, and your sisters don't know.
And she wants to talk to them.
Correct.
Yes.
And so then we're in New York City, and like, there's just not like a time, because like Hannah had some friends visiting, and Sarah went off to see some of her friends, and we're all kind of in and out of the apartment at different times, and like, I wasn't gonna do it, and like, I don't know, like, there just was never an appropriate time, because
You didn't take it. You should have taken everyone to that. What's that diner that's just absolutely shitty where they all sing everywhere all the time?
it's a Stardust Diner.
The Stardust Diner, and just be like, I have something to tell you.
We went there when we were kids.
Just break out into song at the Stardust Diner, honey. Just be like, I'm gay.
But like, then it became, I could tell my mom was getting frustrated because like I didn't do it on that trip, because there was never like a time, and no offense, but like the friends that were there with Hannah and Sarah, like they didn't need to like I wanted
Yeah.
it to be kind of like with my parents. I wanted it to be like an intimate thing
Yes.
where I could be kind of honest and more kind of upfront with like, hey, okay, so this is something I want to share that's obviously like a big deal.
Right.
And that time didn't happen. And I wasn't going to force it until my grandmother's funeral.
Well, I mean,
Because then literally like 2.5 weeks later, maybe if that. And I mean, conveniently, we're all scattered about the country. So like,
Yeah.
it's not like my mom is holding this secret in person. I mean,
At the
she
dinner
is.
table every night.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're not like sitting across from each other at the dinner table. Like
the-
she knows and we're all looking at each other.
well, I will say, honey, that there is something about that. There goes something to say that your mother at least had the respect and understanding that this is something for you to tell.
Yeah.
Whereas my mother would have told the whole world and blasted it to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I never once thought that like that would be an issue once I
Yeah.
told her like, oh no, she's going to go tell her. And even if she did, honestly, like it would have
cat
been
was
easier
out of
on
the
my part. It would have been easier on my part.
Yeah.
Do
When
and so
you came out, because like I said, you know, you have those two chosen families, and the chosen family here in Kansas City is close. We're strong, and I think that's something you and I have developed,
yeah.
combining and just like meeting people.
Yes.
But your other chosen family, your college friends, were you as nervous telling when you came out to all of them? Because you came out to them out of shenanigans, didn't you?
Well, some of them. Like
Jarrett, didn't he like overhear you?
I don't know. I don't remember exactly how I should. He's my best friend in the entire world, and I totally should. But I remember when he was like stressed because I needed to tell Alex, and we were at McCoy's pub in New York City. Another, so a lot happens in New York City. In my life.
Well, everything happens in New York City.
And we were at McCoy's pub, and Alex met us, and we're sitting there, and Jared is like fucking like staring me down, like, can we just? Get
Jared's
this
another
over
person
with?
he does not like to hold a secret in.
No, and that's also he felt bad that he knew,
Yes.
not felt bad, but like he's sitting here, with this big news.
Yes.
which is still stupid because I don't think it should be big news. Anyway,
Well, but some people look at it. I mean, okay, but you have to. I look at it this way. I get the whole not coming out thing. I understand.
I totally see both sides, and
I do.
respect everybody's.
But I don't think straight people understand that so much.
No.
Because they're like, oh, you're gay. We got to tell everyone. It's to celebrate and have a good time. But it's like, we didn't celebrate you being straight.
Correct. And also, like, as much as I love a party, like, I don't think I need to be celebrated.
Right.
I think, I mean, sure, you want to celebrate me, by all means, let's go. But, like, me being gay or queer doesn't need to be, like, this.
Yourself
I'm just
of
me.
who you are. You don't feel that that needs to be
that-
celebrated?
I don't think it needs to, like, define me.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. I agree with that. I think your sexuality does not define who you are as a person. Is that what you're trying to say?
Correct. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's a big part of who I am, but I don't think it needs to be like, oh, there's Mark, the gay person. Like, that's not.
I see what you're saying. I don't think that being gay is Mark. I just think that Mark is gay and a part of the queer community. It is a big part of who you are. And
I think we've also, especially in the past 2 or 3 years, like really. And I think part of it is because I came out later in life for where I'm at now. Obviously,
Yeah.
people come out way later in life. But I do think that in the past few years, I've really tried to fully embrace being queer and trying to build more of a queer community around me.
yeah.
And obviously, you've been very helpful in doing that. But it is, I never thought I would live in Missouri.
I mean, honestly, same. I hate this state. And I've hated this state since I moved up here when I was young.
But I will always come back to the fact that no matter how much I hate this state and no matter how much I never thought I would live here, being here has brought you into my life. It's brought our kids into my life, and I have zero regrets absolutely about anything. And
Yeah.
that's, to me, that also goes back to I'm a huge believer of everything happens for a reason.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. I will always stand behind that. And me coming out later in life, or me, waiting however long to come out to my parents kept me maybe in Kansas City a little bit longer so that I could meet you. And then because I met you, I was like, well, I don't want to fucking leave.
Right.
And now
I mean, we do want to leave, but
I wasn't going to
when
leave
we
without
can't.
you. I wasn't going to leave without you. Let's put it that way.
Right. Well, I mean, so you come out late in life.
Oh, wait, we
And-
never went back to college. Okay, anyway, sorry, real quick. My college friends. I came out to Alex and McCoy's pub. He was kind of looked at me and was like, so? He truly didn't care.
Yeah.
Absolutely didn't give a shit. And I honestly had a feeling he wouldn't care because he grew up in a very not theater. He was big in band and strings. So like, I'm sure he had, some friends on the queer spectrum. So like, I remember
But he's
kinda
from
looked at
New
me and
York,
was like,
though, right?
knowing Alex, I remember, I'm pretty sure he was just kind of like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then he's like, so we gonna get another drink? Or like, he
Right.
truly didn't care. And I remember being like, oh, okay. And for me, when that was like the second or third person in Shenanigans that I had come out to, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, like he doesn't care. So maybe like nobody else will really care. And then we went to, I think we're in Utah,
Yes.
Zion.
Yep.
Yeah. We're in Zion National Park. And at first, Jarrett did not want me to do it. I was going to, because I was like,
Wasn't this in the hot tub with Steph?
uh-huh.
Yep.
Yep. It was hot tub with Steph. I was telling her, because I told Steph, I was like, who cares? And also, no offense to Steph at the time, but I was like, I don't fucking know you, bitch. Like, that was the first time I met
Yes,
her.
but we love Steph now. Let's reiterate, because she does listen. We love Steph now.
It was just funny because I was like, I don't know her. Like, sure, I'll spill my cards out on the table. Like,
Sure.
what do I have to lose,
Yeah.
And it was funny because she was like, does my husband know? And I was like, no. I don't even know if they were. Yeah, they were married. I think were they married yet? I don't know. No, they were not married
But
yet.
that started your friendship with her.
Yes. But it was funny because like Steph and I had this huge bonding moment in the hot tub where I basically like came out to her pretty drunk. And then she was like, so who knows? And I was like, you. And Jarrett. And I was like, but I remember I was like, I told her, I was like, okay, but I'm gonna like, I can't. Like, part of me before we even got to like that trip that year, I knew like, okay, this is gonna be the year. Like, I got to do this.
Right.
My family knew, a couple of my friends knew, and at that point, it was socially acceptable within my close family that I was like, okay, well now I need to actually start living authentically as like who I am.
Correct.
And so, at the time, single Mark was in the bunk room. It was me, Ryan, Kim, and Justin. And I remember I was like, guys, I need to tell you something. And they were like, okay, whatever. And I started crying. And Kim gets down. I was like, is everything okay? And I was like, I'm gay. And she goes, oh my God, love. She gave me a hug. And Justin immediately jumped down. And everyone was like, it's fine. Like, why are you freaking? And I was freaking out.
Yeah.
And they were like,
Were you
"What?"
more stressed then than you were with your parents,
Absolutely
or equally
not.
as
No,
stressed?
I was nowhere near. The stress level was
Oh, it was just more like an emotional. Just
it was
I'm doing
it was emotional. It was kind of like, yeah, rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
But they were all like, yeah, this is, who cares? Like, I remember everybody in the room was like, this is awesome. Like, it's fine. And I remember specifically Justin was very like, oh my God, like, it's cool. And like Justin and I at the time hadn't really had like very many like heart to heart
Yeah.
conversations. And he was like, dude, like, you're great. We still all love you. You're not going to change. Nothing's going to, like,
I love Justin's heart so much. He's
And then
this-
Ryan made me cry because he was just like the sweetest human of all time. I think he ran downstairs and like grabbed some beers or something and ran upstairs. Just like,
That
we
seems
gotta
very
celebrate.
Also, for as short as Ryan is, he has the biggest heart in the entire world.
100%.
I love everything about him.
But I mean, and then from that point on, I was like, okay, cool. And then I don't fully remember how the rest of it happened. I think it just kind of like trickled out throughout it. But I remember Kurt came up to me, Steph's husband. He came up to me and goes, so dudes, huh? I was like, yeah. And he goes, cool, man. And like, that was it.
That's
that was
such a Kurt.
That was like the extent of like the whole thing, which is kind of like, so dudes, huh? And I was like, yeah, man, that's, yep. He's like that,
And that was it.
that was it.
That's Kurt, yeah.
And nothing, and honestly, with everybody at Shenanigans, nothing has changed.
No.
And for everyone listening, Shenanigans is our college group of friends. But nothing has changed. And
No,
I'm very
if-
grateful for that.
If anything, every year I feel like you guys get closer. Like, because you guys add me or Aaron or
Well, that's the other
Chloe,
thing, right?
Like,
Like,
you start adding
you-
all these people that starts bringing everybody else closer, and everyone becomes closer. I mean, there's problems when you have a big group of people, like little tivvies,
always
like
will be.
little tivvies here and there. But other
But
than that,
also for me, a big thing was how much like, or how well, and they all embraced and totally zero questions asked, like, embraced you and welcomed you with open arms, and still to this day now.
Oh yeah, I love all of them like they're my old friends.
Right.
I
So,
mean, yeah, it's. I was actually just texting Kim today. I had one of her jets come through.
oh,
Yeah, and I said I got one of your babies with me. You know,
I'm grateful.
it's
I have, I do think I have a large chosen family of straight people.
yeah,
And I would really like, not that it matters, honestly. I just want to have more of a sense of who I am within the queer community and
Okay.
outside of our family
yeah,
and like a couple friends. I don't really feel like, and honestly, that's why I love this podcast and being involved in it, because it's helping me learn more about the queer community and also like meet people. That's why I want to keep doing this podcast.
Yeah,
is
it's
to
great.
meet new people and help build a larger queer like chosen family that
Yeah.
I would like to have. I don't know, it's kind of hard in Missouri, but Kansas City itself is a very queer, accepting, and safe city. For
that's
the
why
most
I like
part.
doing all those events. You know, and going out, going to, you know, queer-owned businesses or
Yes,
focused, you know, events that are queer involved and just bringing out there. But it's also good to bring people like your straight chosen family and bringing those people to show them as well as you learn and as we learn to do
oh,
it.
I can't wait till we have our first straight ally on here.
Yeah. we
There's
would have to
options,
figure out who's
but
going to be because we
I-
have a lot of good straight allies.
We have a
in our
lot,
life.
and see, that's what I'm saying is think that both of us are very lucky to have such a great chosen family of literal straight allies who
Yes.
would not even bat an eye to literally do anything for either
No.
one of us.
Yeah, I remember when I came out to my friends. It was when I moved back here in 2018 after I divorced.
I was already here.
You were already here, but I didn't know you.
No, I was in my straight era still.
You were, but I had no idea who you
My
were.
backwards
I had
hat
I had
rocking.
well, I had seen you a couple times at work, and
I saw you at work with your pride shirt on, and I was like, damn.
no, probably not.
Oh, no, I literally was like, cool, some fresh meat.
Yeah. Oh God, you pig. I'll take care of that later.
Hey,
Well, no, but in
was I
2018,
wrong, everybody? Was I wrong?
when I came out,
Ring on my finger.
to everybody in 2018, we were at the other house, the one that's
The one down the road.
the one down the road, and everyone was over for dinner. Jordan was the only one who in our group who was, you know, bisexual, and I remember we were just sitting there, and
Did she know?
so this is when you and I first started dating
Correct.
for the first
There
time.
were 2 times for the listeners. There was twice.
Yes, there was 2 times.
I got dumped.
But the first time, we can talk about that later. But the first time we were dating, I had told everybody, or sitting at dinner at the house, I said, "Oh, I just want to let everyone know that I'm dating a dude. His name's Mark. I work with him." And I remember one friend, Caleb, he like looked at me and he goes, "Are you bisexual?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Ah, called it." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Oh, years ago, we all thought you were just gonna end up with some dude." and everybody, Lauren, Jordan, Caleb, Cody, everyone who was at the house was like, "Oh yeah, we called this." Everybody apparently knew. And I was like, "Well, how did you guys know?" And they're like, "You always sang Madonna's Like a Virgin in every party that we went to for karaoke." It was pretty fucking obvious.
That's a giveaway.
It was a dead giveaway. So, but it's same kind of thing with my friends that you friends had, that they were just like, "Yeah, whatever, move on. Nobody cares." And now everyone loves you. I mean, we're great though.
We are.
Toot toot.
Toot, toot, toot.
But so you come out later in life. Did you start exploring your gayness there? Did you prior to me? Did you date anybody? Were you out there?
I dated. When I lived in Orlando, I dated a guy a little bit, but nothing was serious because it's hard to date somebody when you're also like, keeping a secret from literally everybody, which is
Yeah.
why in Orlando I could do it because I lived by myself. I worked there. None of my immediate friends lived there.
Right.
So, I mean, but besides that, like, not really.
You come out to your parents. You come back here because you were here. Dating anybody, seeing anyone, or just
You.
just me?
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't. Nobody else.
I mean, I dated around, but
Yeah.
it was never like any serious like long-term relationships with men before
Yeah.
you. I mean, sure, there's the apps,
Yeah.
but
Well, I mean,
you
again,
know,
as you said earlier, you had needs.
correct. And I mean, honestly, that one kid in college, we were together, not officially, but I mean, multiple times a week for like 2 years.
Yeah.
But it was known like this is not like an emotional thing
It's
because
just a needs
neither of
thing.
us knew that like that was not what we
Yeah.
wanted. By the end of it, I definitely was kind of like catching some feels,
Yeah.
which is probably I think why we cut it off because we're like, okay, this is getting
Too serious.
yeah. And also by that point, we were about to graduate and move on and go our separate ways in life anyway.
Right.
But like really, besides that, a lot of why I think I also moved around a good amount. I was in Orlando for a year and a half, about almost 2 years, and then I was in Oklahoma for 9 months,
Right.
and then all of a
Gross.
sudden I'm in Kansas City, and now I'm also in, Oklahoma City. I'm like, I'm not gonna start dating someone there.
I don't know if you could.
And then I moved to Kansas City, and I'm still kind of a little closeted me. Chris knew because we were in Oklahoma together, and then we were moving together, and and then obviously I lived with him, so,
Right.
he knew. It was nice to move out here because like nobody knew who I was or anything.
You had a fresh start.
Yeah, but then also that's also kind of like why like at work, right? I definitely nobody at work could know.
Right.
And I think that was closed-minded of me to think that way, but that's how I was because I didn't want any of my training to be impacted because I don't know who these people are. I know some of them are fairly moderately religious, and if I were to openly be who I was, I didn't want that to negatively impact my training.
But that's also, I mean, I'm sure
Which is
being
why
from
I
the
did it.
East Coast, though, where it's, especially Massachusetts, where it's, you are overall more progressive.
Yeah, like I grew up, like it wasn't like, accepted, but it wasn't like frowned upon to be gay in the East
Sure.
Coast. I mean, Massachusetts was one of the first states that legalized same-sex marriage.
Right. But then you move to the Midwest,
And
where
that's
all
why
you
for
hear
me,
about
I'm
is
like,
Bible
whoa,
Belt.
yeah.
Yes.
From Oklahoma, I mean, I remember when I landed in Oklahoma and I looked out the window to go find a place to live, and I could see for like 20 miles, and there wasn't a freaking tree in sight. And I remember thinking, like, what the hell have I gotten myself into?
When I was growing up, my mother was dating this person off and on for years, and his kids and I were close. Like even when they broke up, we lived like 2 houses down from them. With that, I can remember sitting kind of like you with your in the car at the crossroads, right? That comment. I can remember we were sitting out one night, we were barbecuing chicken, and somebody had said something about me being gay. And
I got those comments in high school. They're like, oh, well, he's gay. I'm like, no, I'm not.
well, I didn't say anything. I just, because to me, I was like, if I just don't
If you don't
say-
acknowledge it, right.
Right.
There were times, yeah. that
But
you
I panicked
You do panic.
because I was like, what the fuck is about to be said? And I remember my mom's, off again, on again boyfriend, who I looked up to as a father figure, said, there's no gay people in our family. There's no way that he would do that. Absolutely not. And I went, okay.
Same
well,
kind of thing with my dad. You're just kind of like, okay.
Unbeknownst to him, my best friend at the time and I were playing with each other's penises down at the park. Growing up, because that was exploratory age. I mean, we were 12, 13 years old,
Yeah,
just
I never
figuring
did
it out.
anything like that.
Oh,
I also
yeah.
couldn't.
Well, I mean, you came from a small town.
Oh yeah, I mean, my entire town could fit in your high school like 5 times over.
Right.
Which
so,
I'm grateful though. I loved where I grew up. It was a small town. It was very, very safe. I had a really close group of friends, but also most of my high school, I wasn't even at home. Every weekend I'd be at my best friend Josh's house.
yeah.
I mean, we were also smoking a lot of marijuana, which I do think I smoked
Yeah.
a lot of weed in college and I smoked a lot of weed in high school.
Yeah.
And you know why I did that?
Because you were gay.
Because I was gay and I couldn't be who I was.
It was just numbing for you.
And it helped, it really is, it numbs and it helps you get, and I think that's why I didn't rely on it, obviously, but I think that's why I did use marijuana a lot in high school and college because of numbing. It almost kind of like numbs that side of you of, the gay part, where you could just be the straight dude who smokes weed with his hat backwards and hangs out with his bros on the weekends and goes and runs around the salt marsh and does stupid shit.
Yeah. You're one of them.
That's what I was.
Yay, sports.
I did not do the sports, which, but and I had a close group of friends. But I mean, like, we were not. I mean, we never did anything like. I mean, obviously, underage drinking and doing drugs is not great. But I mean, like, outside of that, we always had like our safe space, and we'd all go and hang out at this house that we knew was safe, and his parents didn't care, but that's where I would go to escape my family at the time. And then
it was escaping reality and just being able to feel more just calm. Like,
I don't know about like a sense of calm, because it definitely wasn't calm there. But it was more, I mean, it kind of was, but it was a gorgeous house.
Yeah, but if you're out there, you're away from the clutches of being probably subconsciously feeling oppressed of, I can't be myself.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't have to be at home listening to Fox News.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's horrible no matter where you're at.
I mean, and, growing up too, I'm very grateful and lucky to have grown up too in like a very well-off part of Massachusetts.
Right.
Where, I mean, you could go and like the house we would all go hang out at was like literally on the salt marsh by the ocean, and there was nobody around. So you could just
do whatever you want.
Be free and kind of like do whatever you want. But I think a lot of it, looking back on it now, especially like college and even when we first started dating the first time.
Yeah.
Like, I was very reliant on alcohol and trying to, because I would use that to, mask who I was.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
That's why I got dumped, people.
I did. I picked up on that. I had, well, now you know who Shannon is. My grandmother was an alcoholic. My mother did drugs, did alcohol. I picked up on it where it was okay. There was something there, and you know me, I am me, and I've always been the same. I've been the same Bernard forever. I'm the same personality I think I've had for a long time. Where I'm very
I would agree with that.
I'm very just who you see is what you get, right? What you see is what you get, and so it was like you needed to figure yourself out more.
Oh, I needed to figure myself out.
Yeah,
hardcore.
Which
is funny because all it took was being dumped and then going into a pandemic single.
Yeah.
Because for the first, like the 6 months when we were in like lockdown, I didn't have a sip of alcohol.
Which is impressive because everybody else was.
I know. I did literally like the opposite of what everybody else did. First of all, I got dumped. And then I got not kicked out, but I was forced out of living with Chris because his person, long story. And then I moved to an apartment. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And so then I was like, screw it. I'm going to move to a bigger apartment that I really did love. And then all of a sudden lockdown hit, and I was like, ugh. And then I remember thinking back on like all of our stuff, and I was like, damn, you know what? Like, if I'm going to sit around, like, I can't be relying on like alcohol to get me through a freaking pandemic. And so I cleaned all the alcohol out of my apartment, and then I just started doing productive things.
Yeah.
I mean, my apartment had never been so clean in my entire life. Ever.
But you're a clean person though, overall.
I mean, yeah, but like that's, I would, and when I would get bored, I literally would just go for walks, and I would just walk.
Yeah.
Because what else are you going to do? Everything's closed. It was
right.
The height of the pandemic. And so like, what are you going to do? So I would just go outside and I would walk, and I don't even think the pool at my apartment complex was open, so there wasn't much to do. But I remember being like very determined to like focus on getting my stuff together. And then my mom had her stroke towards the mid to end of the pandemic.
It was like August, September time
of 2021.
Yeah. No.
2020.
2020.
But I remember, like, I couldn't go. I couldn't do anything. And I felt very, very helpless because, like, she's in a hospital.
Yeah.
And also what really frustrated me the most is that I am the one that figured out that she had a stroke because I was talking to her on the phone
And it just wasn't right.
and it was a mess.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I texted, it was a mess. And I remember being so upset because I was like, why is she so hammered at like 2:00?
Right.
Which is funny because like if I wasn't working like a year prior, I would have been like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And
Yeah.
now here I am being the one like, what the heck? Get your shit together.
Yeah.
And then the more I was like, this is not right. And then I called my sister, who's a doctor, and she called her and was like, whoa, you got to get to a hospital. But being the one to like figure it out from halfway across the country really kind of like rattled me. So,
Right.
but for me, I mean, I remember because I knew something was off, but I didn't fully. I had an idea, but I still was like, oh, that was part of my 5 on. So I went to work and I got the call in the parking lot. And that's when I was like, okay, she had a stroke and I lost it.
Yeah.
And that was.
Yeah, you were on the
kinda-
south lot sitting on the curb by
Yeah, I
the tree.
was sitting on the curb having a full emotional breakdown.
Yeah, I remember.
And then just kind of, because I was like, there's nothing I could do.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of like got my life together and I walked back in the control room and everyone's like, are you okay? And I said, I need an hour.
Yeah.
And then I came back and I plugged back in and I started working again.
Yeah, I remember that day.
And then the next day I came to work and someone had left me flowers.
That was so sweet of that person.
I wonder who that person was.
I mean, look, when we broke up,
What did I ask you?
sitting at the parlor. Is that what you're asking?
Uh-huh.
You said, are we never going to get together again? And what did I say to you?
You said, I'm not saying never.
I said, I'd never say never.
Okay, I was close enough.
You're very close.
But you better believe when you said, I never say never, in my head I went, bet. Because
It's
I knew in the basement of Chris's house, I was like, I'm
Ugh.
going to marry that man.
Yeah.
Which is also when you were like, I'm out of here.
I remember you whispering, I love you so much to me. And I was like, I got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I was obviously not there.
I was like, I'm going to marry that man. And sometimes it takes being dumped for you to get your shit together. And then
Well,
some life happens and and that's also, like I say, everything happens for a reason. And I fully stand behind it because had you not dumped me or whatever, the pandemic didn't have,
I think though, like our community, the queer community, relies a lot, like you said earlier, of when you were growing up, why you were smoking weed or why you were drinking alcohol. It's that reliance on a numbing effect kind of moment, and it got a little heavier, and it got kind of heavy at times. I remember that was one of the things. I remember one time going out with you on like an RDO, and it was like we were going to lunch at like noon. And you're like, let's get a couple drinks. And I was like, I have shit to do like I can't drink right
That
now.
was
You're like,
also
oh,
the
it's fine. I'll just have like 3 or 4. And I'm like, holy shit. Like,
I mean, also the biggest thing for me is I worked a lot in college.
yeah.
I worked. I had two, sometimes 3 on-campus jobs. I also did concert productions, so there'd be days where I would spend like 14 hours on campus, where like a lot of other people are, they're at the fraternity parties and they're all having all this fun. I'm not saying I didn't have fun by any means. I'm grateful for those jobs because that's literally why I have the family that I have. I also got to do some incredible things and meet some really cool people doing all of that. But I also think that part of like what most people would consider like the college experience.
Right.
Also, like I went to an aviation college.
Nerd.
So like it's not like we had like like these massive ragers or like that didn't happen. And so I do think that maybe when I got out of college I started drinking and having
Trying to make up for it.
yeah, not like I think it was like a delayed not response but just kind of like a little bit later in life I was like, oh,
You were a little bit more
fun, so
well,
I'm
you were a
gonna
little
try
bit
and-
more free, right, honey? Like
Yes.
you were only then responsible for being at work.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And then also I got to explore and be more of like who I am.
Right.
In so many of these movies and all the queer movies and all this, everyone's out having fun and partying, and so I'm like, is this what we do?
Well, again, the queer community, and this is where it takes some, I think it, and you have obviously found that. I mean, we're together, everything like that. We
like
like
to be in bed by 10 o'clock.
Well, yeah, definitely. But we also like we have no problem having we're having drinks right now. We're having some prosecco right now. But
And I know I gotta be up tomorrow morning, and so like,
right, but it's like we push the queer community. A lot of the places, queer events and everything, pushes alcohol. Right,
the gay pour.
the gay pour. We all know what the
Ooh,
gay pour is.
I
When you
learned
ask for a
about the gay
double,
pour
you're
the
getting
other night.
all vodka and a little bit of
Oh,
Sprite.
the
We
gay
experienced
pour
that the other night.
Oh no! You know, you're for the listener. You know, when you're like out, and they're like, "Do you want one more?" And you're like, no, I probably shouldn't." Okay, fine, I'll have one more. Well, me and some girls were like, "Yeah, we'll have one more." Did not need that last grab. I fully remember having like finished that drink and just going, I definitely did not need that. And husband can attest, I did not need that beverage. Neither did the other two girls that we were with.
I think for me,
Was it incredibly fun? Yes.
Oh, God,
did I
that's
regret it the next day? 1000%. And I didn't even have to do anything but take care of our children and do laundry.
Yeah, I wish
All of which I got done.
you did do it. I wish I could pull. I should pull the dash cam off of that because it has the audio.
That must be the funniest drive home.
Do you remember any of it?
No.
Oh, we gotta pull it off.
I don't remember that drive home at all.
You don't remember the drive home?
No.
Oh, you two were best friends over and over and over and over and over
I mean,
again.
I love Sarah. She's a queen. I love her to this day. Like I truly felt, I was like, okay, I have a new best friend.
Yeah, but that is and that was one of the things.
Could I do that like I used to every?
Oh God, no.
There's no way in hell.
Oh my God, no.
But also emotionally, like no, I can't.
Well,
For the listener, when my husband goes to work, I get sad.
yes, you very sad.
Do I have attachment issues to my husband? Borderline. I will call
Borderline.
it borderline.
I think I got like 12 I miss you texts today. Well, thank you everyone for listening to my wonderful husband and telling his story on the Everyone's a Little Queer podcast. I know it's been a much anticipated episode. However, there was so much that we had to talk about. It's going to continue. Stay tuned for part 2.